If we want to be a society that learns from one another, we have to stop clinging to rigid ideas of personal truth and start sharing our stories instead. What's up, my EFF? Let me tell you how it is. You've just stumbled upon God Jots, a series about the nature of love, compassion, joy, and the real-life connection between human beings. I'm Ender Bowen, Nashville, Tennessee rock pop artist, author, husband, father, complete dork, and aspiring compassionist. Sit back, relax, and be prepared to laugh, cry, maybe even get in a fist fight with gravity. What? Live your truth. It's become one of the most commonly tossed around phrases today. Whether you're scrolling through social media, watching daytime talk shows, or engaging with the latest round of political debates, you're bound to hear it. It's an idea that's both empowering and validating. You have your truth, I have mine. It's a way of affirming that everyone's perspective deserves a voice. Now, for many, it's a battle cry for self-ownership and a declaration of independence from the noise of the world telling us how to live. But despite the good intentions behind it, there's something inherently limiting about this whole your truth thing. It's designed to uplift, but does it really do that? Or does it, in fact, do the opposite? Perhaps this terminology, intended to promote personal freedom, might actually be making us prisoners of our own egos. Okay, now, before you start throwing tomatoes at me, hear me out. I get why people say your truth. It's not necessarily a bad concept. The intention behind it is to validate individual experience, and that's a good thing. We all have unique journeys, struggles, and epiphanies that shape who we are and how we see the world. The problem, though, is in what happens when we start labeling our experiences as truth. Truth, by its very nature, is unyielding. It's immovable. It doesn't change based on how we feel about it. There's no my truth and your truth. There's just the truth. Facts exist, and they remain the same whether or not we choose to accept them. The Earth orbits the sun. Gravity pulls objects towards the ground. The sequel trilogy of Star Wars was terrible. These are truths. When we start calling our subjective experiences truth, we stop leaving room for other perspectives. If my experience is truth, then yours, by default, it can't be. And that's the sneaky, toxic part of it all. It begins to build up walls that prevent us from engaging in open, critical, and objective conversations. If something is truth, then it's no longer up for debate, discussion, or even contemplation. It becomes set in stone. Now think about it. If I believe my truth to be absolute, then I don't have any reason to listen to your truth. After all, if one of us is right, then the other must be wrong, right? This creates an environment of division. What was intended to empower us as individuals actually makes us more entrenched in our own perspectives, less likely to listen, and frankly, less likely to grow. That's where the danger lies. When you cling to your version of truth too tightly, you close off the possibility of change. You put up emotional and psychological barriers. And while this may make you feel secure in the short term, it ultimately keeps us isolated. It can even lead to narcissistic tendencies because, hey, if everything you experience is labeled as truth, who could ever dare question you? I'm not sure if that was the goal when people started using the phrase your truth, but the result is clear. A deeper polarization of perspectives, more entrenchment in personal narratives, and less willingness to come together. So, what if we stopped calling it your truth and started calling it what it really is? Your story. A story, unlike truth, has fluidity. It's not rigid, it's open to interpretation. Stories grow, evolve, and change as they're shared. When we talk about your story, something shifts. There's an unspoken understanding that it's something you're offering up to others, an invitation to share in your experience. It doesn't demand acceptance as fact, it merely asks to be heard. And here's the beauty of stories. They have this built-in mechanism for change. Every time you tell your story, it morphs. Yeah, maybe it's just a slight change in emphasis. Maybe it's a major realization that reshapes the way you view an event. But because stories are open-ended, they invite collaboration. When I hear your story, I don't feel like I have to choose between accepting it as truth or rejecting it outright. Instead, I can sit with it, reflect on it, and let it interact with my own story. When we approach our experiences as stories rather than absolute truths, we create space for dialogue. I can share my story with you, you can share yours with me, and somewhere in the middle, we might both come away with a new perspective. We might even change. And that's the point, isn't it? Growth, evolution, connection. Whereas your truth can feed into our innate tendencies towards pride, narcissism, and entitlement, your story breaks those tendencies down. It's humble. It's willing to be shaped by others. It's open to being questioned, examined, and ultimately enriched. What we need as a society, as individuals, as communities, is more story sharing, not truth claiming or truth shaming. When you think about it, the phrase, your truth, only serves to divide. But a story? A story brings us together. There's something inherently human about sharing stories. It's how we've passed down knowledge for centuries, how we've built civilizations, and how we've understood each other in the deepest, most meaningful ways. I know some people might think I'm splitting hairs here, but words matter. Just like the word tolerance may seem like a noble goal, but fails short of the more powerful concept of compassion. Your truth may seem empowering, but your story does something even better. It invites connection. It invites growth. It invites us into each other's lives. If we want to be a society that thrives, that grows, and that learns from one another, we have to stop clinging to rigid ideas of personal truth and start sharing our stories instead. Because when you tell your story, you're not asking for someone to accept it as fact. You're asking them to walk alongside you, to see the world from your perspective, and maybe, just maybe, to offer a piece of their own story in return. We are more than our rigid claims of truth. We're narratives in motion. Our stories are meant to be shared, expanded upon, and lived through. And in the sharing, we find unity. So next time you're tempted to say, this is my truth, consider saying, this is my story instead. Hey, you never know. It might just open a door instead of building a wall. All right, now it's your turn. How do you feel about this concept of your story being better and more powerful than your truth? Do you agree or disagree? What are your experiences with the phrase your truth or my truth? Do you have any other insights on this subject? I would love for you to share your thoughts about this episode with my growing community of aspiring compationists. Find out how to join us on Discord by going to enderbowen.com/Discord. If you like this episode and want to be notified when new ones are uploaded, make sure you don't leave without hitting that subscribe button. Or subscribe to God Jots on your favorite podcast streaming service. You can also check out more God Jots, as well as subscribe to the mail list for ebooks, updates, and exclusive content at godjots.com. Until next time, be honest with yourself. Be truthful with others. Give people the opportunity to surprise you. And remember that it's impossible to have absolutely nothing in common with another human being. Be a little light in the world. I'm sure I'll see you soon.